ToddYoungONLINE presents Young Tales. Tales for the young and the young at heart. Today's story from Bulfinch's mythology, Legends of Charlemagne. An introduction. Now, before the songs of Roland, before the deeds of the peers of France, before swords rang in mountain passes and heroes blew their final notes upon ivory horns, there was a world on the brink. And it is there, on that narrow edge between ruin and renewal, that our tale begins. In the centuries after Rome had fallen, Europe lay fractured and uncertain. Kings ruled little more than their own halls, roads crumbled, and learning flickered like a dying fire. Beyond the borders of Christendom, new powers were rising. From the deserts of Arabia, under the banner of a new prophet, Muhammad, armies surged outward with astonishing speed. East to Persia, south to Egypt, west across the whole of North Africa, and at last into Spain itself. Within a single lifetime, the Saracens stood at the gate of Europe. As they crossed unchecked into France, history itself might have turned another way. But at that moment rose a man who was not yet king, but already destiny's instrument. Charles Martel, whose name means the hammer. In the year 732, near Tours, his Frankish warriors stood like stone against the flood of invasion. All day the Saracen cavalry hurled itself forward and broke. When night fell, their leader lay dead, their camp abandoned, their advance ended, and Europe still breathed. Martel's son, Pepin, became king. Pepin's son became something greater still. In the year 768, Charlemagne, Charles the Great, took the throne of the Franks. Under his rule, the scattered lands of Europe were forged into an empire. He warred against pagans and invaders, but he also built schools, protected learning, and ruled not as a tyrant, but as a shepherd of his people. On Christmas Day in the year 800, he knelt in Rome and rose crowned emperor of the West. Yet legend is not born in triumph alone. When Charlemagne returned from Spain, his army passed through the narrow mountain ways of Roncesvalles? It'll be Roncesvalles. The main host marched on untroubled, but the rear guard, heavy with treasure, was caught by wild mountaineers and cut down to the last man. Among the fallen was Roland, warden of the Breton marches, brave, steadfast, and loyal unto death. From that single disaster, poetry took fire. In the generations that followed, the deeds of Charlemagne and his warriors grew beyond history. Minstrels sang of Roland, Oliver, Rinaldo, Astolfo, and the 12 peers of France. Battles became miracles, enemies became giants, faith and valor stood taller than mountains. A monk calling himself Archbishop Turpin set these tales to parchment, claiming them as truth. And though history now smiles at his marvels, his book became the wellspring from which poets drank for centuries. From Turpin flowed the romances of Italy, sung by Pulci, Boiardo, and the greatest of all, Ariosto? They told of Orlando's love, his heartbreak, his madness, and his death. Truth bent gladly before beauty, and legend eclipsed fact. And yet, beneath all this splendor of invention stood a real man, Charlemagne, ironclad in war, thoughtful in peace, and father to his children, a friend to the scholars. He sat among learned men as an equal, took the name David, and dreamed of being a king after God's own heart. From distant lands, even the Caliph Harun al-Rashid sent him wonders, including a clock that told time with water and bells, a marvel Europe had never seen. When Charlemagne died, the great structure he had built began slowly to crumble. Weaker kings followed, barons grew unruly, order slipped into feud. And so the poets, looking back, cast the failings of later ages upon the shining figure of the past. Thus was born the Charlemagne of romance, noble yet surrounded by betrayal, mighty yet dependent on heroes greater than history allowed. And here ends the threshold of our tale. Ahead lie the songs of Roland, the madness of Orlando, sorry, the wonders of Astolfo, and the clash of faith and fate upon mountain passes. When history began, legend completed, and so we now pass from chronicle to song, from empire to epic. The age of Charlemagne has become the age of heroes. And here's where we end for today. Young Tales is produced and narrated by Todd Young from Todd Young Online. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and join us next time for another story. Thank you for your support.